Friday. Landscapers haven't skipped a beat. Seen grass still needs to be mowed. Tell you what, it makes you rethink the business that you're in. It's one of the things, good morning, Jason. One of the things I think that's been very eye-opening, and whether or not it changes anything for people is a different story. Is people are having a deck built, a new deck. But certainly going through this has been eye-opening as far as what's essential, and not necessarily about what the government says, what your state says, what's essential, but groceries. I don't know anything about the business, but to be in the grocery business right now, has been challenging, I'm sure, in dealing with all the restrictions and changes, but has been extremely, busy at the same time. So got a couple people on here already. Good morning, Carrie. What's up, John? How you doing? But I wanted to talk about 2 short sale listings for Jason. Attaboy. I wanted to talk about how to sell when no one's buying. And it's really a 2-part conversation. And I think it's one of the things that gets in our way a lot as salespeople. And what happens often is, for most people, and I'll use the real estate business as an example, but you could really apply this to any sales position regardless of the field that you're in. And I've always looked at sales and leads and opportunities as a wheel. And I look at that wheel with a ton of spokes in it, right? The wheel is filled with spokes. And each one of those spokes is a lead or an opportunity. And for the most part, and I've been in sales for 20 years and have been relatively successful at it. And one of the things that I've learned along the way is in any particular group of leads or opportunities, there are a pretty consistent average of opportunities that are going to convert. So if you look at, again, we're talking about a sales position. If you look at opportunities, if you look at leads, if you look at customers, inside of that wheel is a spoke. For any of you that are old enough to remember, they used to have these spoked wheels, like shiny, fancy spoked wheels, tons of spokes. So if you look at the spokes inside of a wheel as leads, and that wheel, as it turns, each one of those leads comes through your process. You put them through your sales process. You show them your product. You ask them to buy it. You follow up, whatever. Follow up's the second part of the conversation. But inside of, let's say, 100 leads for our business and 100 opportunities for year after year after year after year, we've averaged just over 20% closing. So inside of 100 leads, you have 80 people that are going to say, no, thank you. And then here's what you have to learn as a salesperson, is that out of 100 opportunities, 80 of those people are going to say no matter how good of a salesperson you are. You may occasionally close 25%. Sometimes you may drop down to 16%. That's why it's called an average. Sometimes it'll be higher. Sometimes it'll be lower. But out of those 80 opportunities, there is no particular rhyme or reason as to where in the wheel the 20 deals are. Now, it would be nice if they spaced them out, one here, 10, if there's 100 leads, if it was, one every 5 opportunities, that would be nice, but it doesn't happen that way. So here's what happens a lot of times with salespeople is they get in the lead wheel, I call it, and they get through 50, 60 leads, and they haven't made a sale. And it starts to mess up or affect our confidence. It starts to impact our attitude. We often then start to press Our personalities are one in which if we feel like we're behind, we may modify or change our normal interaction with a client and we may skip steps in the sale and say, well, the last 40 people that I've talked to didn't buy, so I don't want to waste my time going through the sales process with this next customer. I'm just going to kind of skip to the chase and ask for the sale because I need to take more customers. I need to move through these people quicker because now I only have 2 weeks left in the month to make my sales. It's the exact opposite thing that you want to do, because then whatever you've changed about your sales process, if you're skipping steps, if you're not as, just kind and helpful to people, if you're not giving them as much information as you normally would inside of your sales process, now you're going to get opportunities that should be sales. Now, again, if you think about leads as spokes in the wheel, they're already predetermined to be deals. They are consumers that will buy your product given the right opportunity. And the right opportunity is up to you. What I mean is out of 100 prospects, we know in our business, we're going to buy 20 to 25 of those homes. What we don't know is when we go into those leads or we start conversing with that customer, which one is a deal and which one is not. So as a salesperson, what you have to do is treat every customer the same way every time, meaning they need to go through your entire sales process. The way that you work through that process should look different with each customer. But at the end of the day, you want to give them the full level of service that they deserve, and you need to remain committed to that. So what happens is as you work through the wheel, if your first 40 opportunities didn't result in a sale, that means that out of the next 60, you're still going to get 20 deals, but you have to stay committed to your process. You have to stay committed to your service. You have to stay committed to maintaining a positive attitude. You have to stay committed to answering questions, building value, being patient when the time calls for it. Doesn't mean that all people understand, or your customer doesn't care if you haven't sold or bought anything in the last 2 weeks. They're going to move at the pace that they feel comfortable. And under normal circumstances, you would allow them that luxury or that opportunity or that freedom. But now because you feel like you're behind on sales, you start to press and maybe even potentially pressure people where you normally wouldn't. So what you have to be able to do is understand what I believe and what I've always taught is the concept of the wheel. And here's an example. We bought 4 homes last week. We measure our progress each day, but at the conclusion of the week, we expect to buy 5 homes per week, and we bought 4. Yesterday, we bought 10, and we got that part of the wheel where, inside of our 300-400 leads that we get a month, we hit the spot inside of the wheel where all those deals were, because it's completely random. Right? Like we do marketing, we do advertising, and we put our message out at a consistent and scheduled cadence, right? We don't put all of our marketing out in one day and expect all of our customers to contact us in a 3-day period. We do, space out our television ads, our direct mail, our Facebook ads, our text messaging, our cold calling, all of that stuff. So what you have to remember as a salesperson, if you can picture all of your opportunities as a wheel, and each customer inside of that wheel is a spoke, you have to work through those spokes to get to the deals. And sometimes there's going to be 5 deals in the front of the wheel. There's going to be 5 deals at the 5 o'clock hour, 5 deals at the 6 o'clock hour, 5 deals at the 10 and 12. But sometimes they're all batched at the end of the wheel. So that means that you have to work your way through the previous 80 opportunities before you might go 20 for 20 at the conclusion of your wheel, right? So the point is that when it feels like no one's buying, the way for you to continue to sell is to remember that with each new opportunity, it's back to a clean slate. You have a 100% chance of making that sale. As long as you put them through your process, you give them the treatment they deserve, you present your product the way that it deserves to be presented, and you ask for the sale. This isn't necessarily a sales technique video. It's more about just understanding how random leads come in and how random deals come in. You may talk to 20 people, and if you normally close 20%, there's four deals already in those 20 deals. There's four in there. It could be the first four people you talk to, the middle four people you talk to. It could be one every five. You have to look. They're actually working on Mount Rose Avenue. Like tons of people working here. Holy moly! Who would have known it took a pandemic to get them to work on Mount Rose Avenue? And then the other thing is, and it should be blatantly obvious to salespeople, is follow up. I don't remember the exact statistics, but the number on average, now this is across all different types of sales, but on average it takes 12 contacts to make a sale. So if you think about your initial greeting, maybe the day after you've presented, multiple touches throughout the process, it takes on average, I believe the number is 12 contacts to make a sale. So what you have to remember is for all of your unsold opportunities, you have to put them into some consistent follow-up system, regardless of how far or how close you think you were to making a sale. One of the things that I've found in my years of being in sales has been people's situations, particularly with real estate, can change quickly. So you may speak to someone today that feels like they're 2 or 3 years away from selling, or 2 or 3 years away from buying a home if you're a real estate agent. And, what could happen tomorrow, anything you could possibly imagine with someone's personal situation could change their need for a house, whether they want to sell it now because they're downsizing, or they found out that they're having another child and now they want a house with more bedrooms or a bigger yard or a different school location, or vice versa. Someone that's a buyer that, was holding off for a while and just found out that, something had changed in their life, and now they want to buy a house where before they thought that they were maybe 2 or 3 years away. And what will happen is, if you're not following up with them and you spoke to them 6 months ago and they've effectively removed themselves from that sales process, they're not actively considering making a purchase, they start that process all over again, which means now the newest television commercial that's on, maybe someone that they reach out, or they'll go to the internet and search for a real estate agent, or they'll go to a friend of theirs and ask for a referral. If you've remained in constant contact with that prospect, when the time comes that they're now in a position to make a purchase or a sale or whatever it is that you're selling, you will be top of mind, and they won't restart their research process to figure out who they want to do business with. So those are two things I think for people that, when no one's buying, because one of the things you'll find is while you're doing follow-up and we're talking about that wheel, you'll get deals inside of that wheel that aren't necessarily one of the spokes. So you have a prospect that's not in your current 100 opportunities that you've been following up with for 6 months. And then miraculously, they call you because you've followed up with them and they're ready to make a purchase. And now you have a sale that you weren't even counting on because it's not part of your current wheel of prospects or wheel of leads. And that's the two lessons to take away from this. As a salesperson, what you have to do is think about it, whether it's in a weekly context or a monthly context or whatever. Most salespeople operate in monthly goals, and then they break it down to weekly goals. And what you have to look at is, if, as a salesperson, within a 30-day process, if you have 100 leads, look at that as a wheel. Think about those 100 leads as a spoke in that wheel. And there is complete random placement of where the deals are inside of those leads. So you have to think as each one of those spokes as an opportunity, and it's a hidden opportunity. Until you engage with that customer and you work through the process, you present your product, you ask for the sale, you give them the service that they deserve, you have to treat each one of those opportunities as an equal percentage of closing. And if you do that and you have 15 or 20 leads that you go through and you don't get a sale, that just means that in the final 2/3 of that wheel, you have more deals, but you can't rush through them. You can't change your process on the fly to try and rush through those prospects. You just need to stay consistent and work through the deals, work through the prospects, stay committed to your process, and you'll get your deals. So I hope everybody has a good day. It's Friday. For some of us, that means that we may be able to slow down our work for the weekend. For others, it's probably been 7 days back to back to back to back. And then for those of you that are off work for right now, we hope that we're one day closer to getting back to being off lockdown, off timeout, off detention, out of punishment, and then hopefully we can go back to living our lives. So I hope everybody's doing well. Thanks for joining me this morning, and we'll see you soon. Peace.